Welcome back to Smart Architectural Programming, where we build solid foundations in software, one concept at a time. Today we're diving into a topic that trips up almost every beginner: difference between method definition and method execution. We've already covered what methods are. Now we need to understand what different components of methods are. If you're following along our book or on Introduction to Java, you'll find this concept right at the heart of building useful and reusable code. And if you're following along on our YouTube channel's playlist, feel free to jump along and purchase a copy of our Introduction to Java book, which would help you solidify your core concepts and advanced techniques in Java. So let's break it down step by step. Imagine your Java program is basically a restaurant, right? And in this restaurant, the method definition basically would be the recipe cards. It tells the chef how to cook, what you need, how you need to, when to put something in, when to put something out, so on and so forth. I'm not a cook myself, but you get the gist, right? So when you understand basically the fact that it's just instructions and recipe cards on the dish that the chef wants to be made, that's what, quite simply, what we mean by method definition. At the same time, we need to understand what method execution is. But because imagine this, you're in a restaurant, you have the recipe cards, but that isn't enough for the restaurant to function. At some point, you need to prepare the food, actually cook the food. That's where method execution comes in, because that's what method execution is. We have recipe cards as method definition, which are how to do and what to do and when to do. And method execution is just doing that process practically. Here's when the chef actually follows the step on the recipe card and his team follows those steps and serves the full course meal. So that is what method definition and method execution are, generally speaking. Here's a simple Java code, as you can see. This part that you see here, public static void say hello here. Focus here. Public static void say hello. Give me a second. It takes a little time with this tool here. So we have this here, right? And then we have a section here below that we need to focus on as well. So these two things you need to look at while I'm talking right now. And this is the first thing we need to focus on, this code. So what you'll understand here, this is a method definition. It defines what the method does, basically. It's basically telling us the steps of the recipe, but nothing happens yet because we've defined the method and what the instructions are when this method happens, right? But basically nothing is happening at this point because we haven't executed that method. We haven't done the method execution. We just defined the method, just the recipe card here. Now inside the main method, which is the main core program here, as you mentioned here, this is the main method here, right? So this main method here, you'll notice that we have this here, which is basically calling out the method that we set up. This is basically when you call out a method, that's when method execution happens. This is where we actually call the method, right? Java jumps to the recipe, runs the instructions and steps inside that, and the magic happens basically. So let's visualize this a little bit. On the left side on your screen, you'll see we can see that there are recipe cards there, right? Which are basically the method definition. It's like creating a recipe card. Again, you see the instructions there and everything there on the recipe cards. At the same time, visualize on the right side, you'll see cooking happening, right? We're calling or executing the method, like cooking the dish when someone orders this. This is basically the crux of method definition and method execution. On one side, it says instructions. On the other side, it's actually creating or following those instructions, right? That is the essence that you need to understand. So why is this distinction very, very important for us, right? Because in Java, we need to understand that nothing happens just by defining a method. Java doesn't do anything with a method until you explicitly call it. And that's true for all programming languages, not just Java. Here it's called methods, in Python it's called functions. Unless you call the method, it won't run. It's just a recipe card. It's just instructions that the code does not follow through until you tell it to follow those instructions, right? So if a chef comes through the kitchen and says, hey, I want to cook that particular full course meal today, right? Those are the recipes that you need to cook. The staff would cook that, but if he doesn't tell them what to cook, they won't cook, because that's how things work in real world and in programming itself. So when your code isn't doing what you expect, check if you defined the method, but forgot to execute it, or at the same time, usually your definition had some problems if it's not executing as yet you hoped it should be executed. So let's look at this code again. So in this example, you see add a plus b again here, as you see, right? We see this method definition here, right? It takes two method numbers and returns their sum. So it takes sum a and b, and then it basically returns the value of the summation of these two, right? At the same time, we need to remember that it's only when we call this function here, as you can see, add 5 and 3, that this method actually runs and executes, and we get a result, and actual addition actually happens, right? So recipe card is above is there, but it won't give us what we need until we actually call it and instruct by Java, just like the chef instructs his staff to actually follow certain recipes. So let's wrap this up with a few key takeaways that we can take from this video. Method definition is instructions or a recipe card. Method execution is running those instructions or actually following the recipe card in the kitchen. You can define a method once and execute it multiple times, but nothing happens until you explicitly call the method. So remember, defining a method is like planning. Executing it is like doing. It's a small but powerful concept that unlocks better code organization and reusability. And you'll use it constantly as you move forward. So if this helped clear things up, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more Java lessons straight from our Introduction to Java series. Have a question? Drop it in the comments, and don't forget to check the book for code exercises and to practice method definitions and executions. Until next time, happy coding with smart architectural programming.